impeccable top laner, so Freak is waiting stateside for an interview.
Thank you very much, Space Chime. Great cast of the day. Yes, I'm here with the wonderful Huni. Haven't seen you in a while. How you doing, buddy?
Long time no see, guys. Woo! But still, yeah. I was just preparing a summer split every regular season, and then just doing well.
Yeah, you are doing very well. So talk to me then about preparing for the summer split. You got some nice Aurelia games. We're back on Huni carrying really hard. Talk to me about sort of your learning experiences then. Right, new patches, the game's changing a bit. Talk to me about what your preparation was like getting ready for the sort of the new look at the game in summer.
First of all, just between the Spring Split, there was a lot of OP, the tank champion, and I was still playing damage champion. So it was doing well, quite doing well, and then we just lose at playoff. But still, in summer split, there was like big passion from tank. Like they're actually nerfing a lot. At the same time, they're buffing like Black Cleaver, which means like counter tank. Like even Trinity Force counter tank. Also like AP champion, there's like protobelt, like awesome items, you know. So that's why like I could pick up like a lot of champion, like something like Irelia or Rumble. That's why I think I'm doing really well.
And it's showing really wonderfully. And I know players that are doing well on your team. Pobelter has been getting a lot of credit as well. So far this split, everyone seems to like him a whole lot. What have you seen as his teammate? What has made Pobelter so much better this split around?
I think he was really good still. Like even Spring Split, he was I think more like a sacrifice for me because we were playing our own top a lot. At the same time, he had to play like real safe. But for now, it's like we're get more used to, and then we adopt a patch note. At the same time, we're just playing more as a team. That's why I think that makes us like really like stronger. Even we compare a Spring Split, also like beginning of Summer Split. So I think there was a lot of improvements.
I agree. You as a team have looked really amazing. I want to once again talk about that matchup, though, because we were very focused on Jensen versus Pobelter. Jensen was the all-league mid laner for the last split. He has a lot of hype around him. How did you feel about those two facing off? Was Pobelter always going to win that, or was there's some concern there that Jensen could maybe body him or something?
For me, I'm pretty sure just Pobelter, just as a player, he's way better. And then I'm pretty sure he's just, in any LCS, must be his best player by far.
Pobelter's the best player in North America?
Just best mid laner.
Best mid laner.
Because I'm the best player, so.
Because you're the best player. Of course you are. One final question then for you. Next week, you're facing off against Liquid, who look like maybe a top 3 team now in North America. Talk to me about what you've seen in that team and how you'd prepare for them.
For me, I appeared against Team Liquid. We have never lose against them, so we're going to keep track that.
All right, lost 0 games against Liquid. Huni, thank you very much. Congratulations on a great victory right there, 2-0. And now we're going to send it over to the analyst desk.
Myself. Thank you very much, Vic. That was an enjoyable interview with Huni there. They always are, to be honest with him. But Immortals 2-0 over Cloud9. That's surprising, right? We saw the last time these two teams faced off, it was a much closer 2-1 series. This time around, Immortals looking quite dominant in their showings.
I think C9 just looked like they had a rough weekend. I think like the games against TL, obviously, they put a lot of attention on Jensen. He got held down. Game 1 this series, Jensen just looked off, and then they made a terrible macro play this game, and from there it's basically unrecoverable. So I think they just definitely did not play well this weekend overall, and we have to see if that's a longer running trend or if this was maybe like a 1 week mistake.
Probably just a 1 week mistake. I'm sure that they'll have to keep their things in sight, but it is a little worrying how much emphasis they put on their play this week, that if it went badly, they're doomed, like, or it's over. Like, it's really not quite that bad.
As the team comp graphic jumps up onto the screen here, I do want to address the point that Jap brought up, which is very interestingly, Immortals is a team that's able to find fights even when they don't necessarily craft a team comp that can find fights, right? With this, you don't have anything that says, we are fighting now.
Well, see, the thing is, the easiest way for you to find a fight is going to be on wave crashes, because you know where the opponent's going to be and they have no way to move around. So if you always put your play around the wave crashes and wave management, it's going to be very easy for you to find a way to pressure the opponent. And what happens is the opponent feels pressured, and then they're trying to make a play because Immortals is on the faster tempo of the league. They're really good at making it the quick very quick decisions. And then the opposing team's like, oh, they're here already. We got to go fight them. And then they engage on them, and the counter engage or the TP or the flank and surround from Immortals is always very strong.
Especially with good vision. You know where they are. You know where to go to get behind them to get these flanks off. And we saw a little bit of that this game, where it just once you're ahead, which Immortals tends to get ahead early with like just the rain over pathing, whatever it is, and then once they're ahead, they work really hard on vision control so that they get good TP flanks or just know where the enemy's coming from, that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
they get their fights through that.
You talk about getting ahead early. Let's go ahead and take a look at how Immortals got ahead in this game. 2-3 minutes into the game off of Cloud9 aggression on the bot lane in the 2v2. Meteos showing up first, but good response from Immortals, faster teleport.
Not only is the gank just way too forced, because you can see that they blow everything onto Wild Turtle, and he still is barely below 50% HP. They just don't have enough damage. It's a level 2 Graves, and immediately the TP advantage gets punished. And I like the adaptation from Rainover, clearing the bot side, and immediately, instead of routing to the top side and taking his red side jungle, just goes straight stop to try to make this play to punish it even further, and they get 2 more kills. And from this point onward, against a good team, this is game over. You actually cannot recover from the situation.
Right, and I think the big thing was it seemed like a lot of teams this weekend, not just Cloud9, had trouble tracking other teams' teleports, or even like their own. Like, that's not a play you should look for on Graves generally. But then when you lost your TP level 1, I don't know why you look for like a level 2 Graves gank isn't scary. You have blue buff.
Right.
They're trying to force really hard onto Turtle, and I understand that it's not the lane matchups they want, but that's just never going to work when you have
I totally agree. There was very many curious things going on there. You're going into a larger minion wave. Your Sivir and your Braum are still level 1 when that starts, as opposed to the level 2 of the opposing bot lane. Then you've got the TP coming in. So yeah, I totally agree. I mean, obviously it wasn't overreach by Cloud9. Great response from Immortals. They get the 3-0. Tons of influx of gold, as you just mentioned. That's pretty much game over when you're playing against a team the caliber of Immortals. However, we did see Cloud9 make their kind of one step back into it, and we'll get to that. Before we do, I want to take a look at an Immortals ace at 18 minutes, 19 minutes into the game. You know, as if things weren't going poorly for Cloud9 as of yet. Huni finding Meteos here in the river.
I mean, this is something you're going to see a little bit of. Huni somehow behind Meteos, and he's able to start the fight. Meteos gets chunked really low, and then they try and chase the punish Huni. It just leads right into the rest of Immortals team comp. And this is kind of what we were talking about, where just by having good vision, we're able to see Huni get these flanks off. He knows where the enemy is, and they don't know where he is. Yeah. He didn't have to burn TP there. He just ended up behind Meteos to start that fight.
And the thing is if the gold were even and Huni face checks that bush against Braum Graves, maybe things turn out differently. But it just kind of showcases the allowances that Immortals gets when they do have these early advantages, and they do remain relatively grooved.
Yeah, I love how they're just able to pull the trigger and execute on these dives, even though their composition isn't necessarily the strongest dive comp. Because you're so far ahead, and because you have the Soraka, champions are normally not that tanky, are able to just be tanks.
Yeah, now...
A little trigger happy, though. We'll see. I mean, he said they likes how they pull the trigger. They sometimes pull a little too often.
You got to practice the best of threes and get some leeway.
Absolutely, absolutely. And now, although it did not get Cloud9 the victory, I do want to take a look at the 23.5-minute ace, plus the Baron on the back end of it.
Just watch Pobelter here. This is what I mean by pulling the trigger too often. Just flash ults and sneaky. He just walks away like, what the? And then, you know, see, this is good by C9 to be really decisive. Like, hey, he just blew his flash. Let's punish this. And they just instantly go on to Pobelter.
Flash and ult. It's not even doing damage anymore. It's off to the left side.
Yeah, right. So they just instantly go on Pobelter, blow him up. From there, the fight is basically over, but for some reason, Immortals tries to re-engage. They think they're strong enough to take this. They're really not. I mean, Cassio can put out so much damage throughout the course of a fight. Same with Sivir and with Graves as well. They just have a number of threats that just can't be matched by Immortals once they lose.
Just testing the limits.
Yeah, testing the limit. I guess my flash ult did an inch to give Sivir. Guess we lose the fight.
Now I know.
Yeah.
Right? I won't be doing that again. Now I know. Either way, that was the one big win for Cloud9 in that entire game. From there, Immortals smartly ran it right back at them, waited out the Baron buff, and pushed for the victory.
Yeah, a win they didn't even start themselves. It was just another gift. It's been the week of gifts for all the kills that have just been given out for free.
Right, very tough week. Before we hit player of the game, I just want to talk about last point on Cloud9 is the fact that they've had such a tough week. The loss to Team Liquid, then this loss to Immortals when we were, you know, looking at Cloud9 as pretty securely being in that top 3. Now there's some questions raised. Curious as well that Doublelift said C9 is the team that they're afraid of, doesn't mention Immortals. So, I'm sitting here a little confused as to the actual power level of this Cloud9 team.
I would not take Doublelift's word on what team is too strong, just because... Not because he doesn't know, but it could very well be just trying to, you're trying to mind game your opponent. You're like, oh, I don't respect Immortals. I just think they're
and if
better.
It's coming
and
from
then immediately they get stomped.
Versus...
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, if you're on the Immortal side and then you just stomp Cloud9 and the team that's right above you is mentioning that the team that you just beat has more respect to them than yourselves, that might put them on a little bit of an edge.
So then, what was it today? Just the fact that players like Jensen, for example, weren't showing up to their optimal ability, and that's the reason they lost, or is there something larger at play here?
It's hard to say from the outside because I think, you know, you look at that first game, that TF port, I mean, it was a 1-for-0 before we went in there, I think, and it was just like, what was that play? It's just shocking to see out of Jensen. And he had a couple other mistakes that game. And then here, C9, like, I don't know what their decision was to go for that play. I mean, Crumbs mentioned how they had a similar play last week that had some success where they influenced a bad lane matchup by swinging behind really early.
Right.
But it's one of those things like you think you're in the same situation and you're really not. The situational awareness isn't there. And it could be just, you know, a one-off. They had a bad week, and they move on. I think that's what we need to look out for. Because if this is the new level of C9, they've taken a step back, then they're definitely not the top 3 team.
They tripped on the stairs.
they just got turned around, and now they're
just walking back down the ladder, right?
Yeah.
That no one told them that either way, was a tough week for Cloud9. We'll see if they can turn it around for week 2. Player of the game, though, going to go to Huni on that Aurelia, 6-2 and 13. He said it himself. He's the best player in North America.
He almost accidentally admitted his teammate was better.
He told us that Pobelter was, but no.
I'm
He's
putting
the best
myself
player,
down.
and that's, of course, why he's on the screen behind us, right?
Yeah, got a lot of flanks off. You saw a ton of those fights just started with him suddenly behind the rest of the team, even without his TPs. The game-winning fight, he actually got onto Meteos again and basically sold him out almost to win the game. So definitely deserving. Huge part of that. Got the TP advantage early. Came into that first blood situation. So really great game by him overall.
All right, well, that closes us out on NALCS 2 once again with Immortals taking a victory over Cloud9. It's time now for us to throw you over to NALCS 1, where Phoenix 1 is looking for their first victory of the split up against Apex. We're in Game 3. Phoenix 1 with a very small gold advantage early on in the game. Check it out.